Please be seated, everyone. Good morning, folks. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. The record should reflect that the jury has joined us again. Just a housekeeping matter. I didn't want to forget to tell you, scheduling-wise, tomorrow is an off Friday for us. That generally would mean that the following Friday would be a working Friday, but it's actually going to be an off Friday as well. We need to take the 22nd off, and so we're taking back-to-back Fridays off. Then the following week, we're working on that Friday, but we're taking Monday off because it's Memorial Day, the 25th. I figure I give you Memorial Day off. Nice guy, right? In June, we're only taking one Friday off because we're taking 3 days off in May, or 3 Fridays off in May. Then in June, we're only going to take one Friday off. And then in July, we'll take one Friday off as well. That's July 3rd. I'm going to give you the 4th of July weekend off. Feeling rather generous. But what I can do is that I can have my staff give you a schedule of all the days we're planning on taking off between now and August in case you want to plan ahead. Would that be helpful to you? Okay, great. I'll do that. Ms. Carolines, would you please do that? Well, one of you doesn't have it. So we'll give it to you, sir. All right. Yesterday, at the end of the day, Investigator Perlina was still on the witness stand, and I will remind you that you're still under oath, okay? All right, Ms. Pearson, you may resume your direct examination at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Petalina, I'm now going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3235, 3236, 3237, 3238, 3239, 3240, 3241, 3242, 3243, 3244, 3246, 3247, 3248, 3249, and 3250. Do you recognize all of those photographs?
Yes.
And do they fairly and accurately represent what you observed in the theater in July of 2012?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for admittance of all of those photographs.
Ms. Spengler, do you have any objection?
An objection to 3246 under 403 in due process, otherwise no objection to the remainder of the photos.
Can I see those? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the objection to P-TR-3246 is overruled because I find that the probative value of the evidence is not substantially outweighed by any of the concerns listed in Rule 403 of the Colorado Rules of Evidence. And so that exhibit is admitted over objection and may be published. The rest of the exhibits that were just mentioned, P-TR-3235 through 3244 inclusive, and P-TR-32, well, let me back up. P-TR-3235 through 3245 are admitted without objection. Actually, you don't have 45, so I had it right. P-TR-3235 through 3244 inclusive are admitted without objection, and then P-TR-3247, 3248, 3249, and 3250 are admitted without objection as well. There you go. Go ahead, Ms. Pearson.
Yeah, may I have 3235, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is an overall photograph of row 11, seat 7.
And 3236?
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-83.
3237?
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-84.
3238?
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-85.
3239?
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-86, which was in the cup holder.
3240?
This is a photograph of impact 9-88 and 9-87, which was in the armrest in the cup holder.
3241?
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-87.
And 3242?
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-88.
And all of those photographs were those row 11, seat 7.
Correct.
Turning next to 3243. What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is an overall photograph of row 11, seat 8.
3244.
This is a photograph of impact 9-89.
3246.
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-90, which would be on the back of that seat.
3246.
This is just an overall photograph with that impact being shown of the back of the seat.
I think you said 3246 twice.
3247 came up the first time.
Okay, all right. So it's just so that the record is clear. Thank you.
3248.
This is a photograph of impact 9-91.
3249.
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-91.
3250.
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-92.
And is that all in row 11, seat 8?
Correct.
Now I'd ask you to approach the model and to note where seat 7 and seat 8 in row 11 are located.
Okay, starting with row 8, which is the first row in the stadium seating. 8, 9, 10, row 11. And what were the two seats? I'm sorry.
Seat 7 and seat 8.
Okay, so starting with seat number 1 and moving to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be seat 7. And then seat 8 would be the seat right next to it to the right or to the south.
I'm next going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3251, 3252, 3254, and 3255. Thank you. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admittance of People's Exhibits 3251, 3252, 3254, and 3255.
Ms. Spengler, do you have any objection?
No objection.
All right, without objection, P-TR-3251, 3252, 3254, and 3255 are admitted and may be published.
And if I could have 3251. Is this another impact that was in row 11, seat 7?
Yes.
3252. What are we looking at in this?
This is an overall photograph of row 11, seat 9.
3254.
This is the back of that chair with impact 9-95.
3255.
Close-up photograph of 9-95.
And if you could step to the model and note where row 11, seat 9 is located.
Okay, so coming back up to row 11, seat 9 will be the next seat over to the right from the last seat marked on the model. So one seat over from seat 8.
I am next going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3257, 3256, 3258, 3261, 3262, 3264, 3265, 3266, 3268, 3270, 3271, 3275, 3276, 3277, and 3278. Do you recognize all of those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admission of all of the photographs that I've tendered to the witness.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3256, 3257, 3258, 3261, 3262, 3264, 3265, 3266, 3268, 3270, 3271, 3275, 3276, 3277, and 3278 are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3257, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
It's a close-up photograph of impact 9-96. We're in row 11, seat 13.
3256.
This is an overall photograph of row 11, seat 13.
3258.
It's a photograph showing impact 9-97 and 9-98.
3261.
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-98.
3262.
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-99.
And those were all in row 11, seat 13.
Correct.
Could I have 3264, please? What do we see in this photograph?
This is an overall photograph of row 11, seat 14.
3265.
This is impact 9-100.
3266.
This is impact 9-100.
3268.
This is an overall photograph, again, of row 11, seat 14, showing several impacts, 101, 102, 103, 104, and 105.
3270.
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-101 and 9-102.
3271.
This is impact 9-103 and 9-104.
3275.
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-106 and 9-107.
3276.
This is, again, the back of that chair with impact 9-106.
3277.
This is impact 9-107.
And 3278.
This is impacts 9-108 and 9-109.
And if you could approach the model and note where row 11, seat 13 and row 11, seat 14 are located.
Okay, coming back up to row 11, which was the row I just marked in previously. The last seat marked was row 9. So now it's seat 13. So moving 4 over to the right. And then seat 14 would be the seat right next to 13 to the right as well.
And could I have up 3279, which was previously admitted, Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is row 11, seat 15 with impact 9-110.
And I'm going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3282, 3283, 3284, 3285, 3286, and 3287.
Thank you.
Do you recognize all of those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admittance of People's Exhibits 3282 through 3287 inclusive.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3282 through 3287 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3282, please? What are we looking at here?
This is row 11, seat 16.
3283.
This is a close-up of impact 9-111.
3284.
This is a close-up of 9-112.
3285.
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-113 and 9-114.
3286.
This is impact 9-113.
And 3287.
This is impact 9-114.
And if you could approach the model and note where both seat 15 and seat 16 are located in row 11.
Okay, coming back to row 11, which is the row I've been marking in. The last seat that I marked was seat 14. So seat 15 would be located one to the right or to the south, and then 16 would be the one located next to it, also to the right or to the south.
I'm next going to hand you what has been marked as People's Exhibits 3288, 3261, 3292, 3293, 3297, 3298, 3299, and 3300. Do you recognize all of those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admittance of the photographs that I've tendered to the witness.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3261, 3288, 3292, 3293, and 3297 through 3300 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Your Honor, I believe you said 3261. I have 3288, 3291,
You said 3261.
okay,
so-
3291 through 93, and then 97 through 3300.
All right, you said 3261. Did you mean 3291?
I did, Your Honor, I
Right.
apologize.
Okay, it's 3291, not 3261. Thank you.
Could I have 3288, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is row 11, seat 17.
3291,
This is the back of that seat, row 11, seat 17.
3292,
This is impact 9-116.
3293,
This is going to be the bottom of that seat with impact 9-117, 9-118, and 9-119.
3297,
This is impact 9-121 and 9-120.
3298,
This is impact 9-120.
3299,
This is impact 9-121.
and 3300.
This is impact 9-122.
And could you, again, mark on the model where seat 17 in row 11 is located?
Okay, coming back to row 11, the row that we've been in. Seat 17 is going to be the next seat located over to the right from the seat that we just marked.
I am next going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3301, 3302, 3303, 3304, 3305, 3306, and 3307. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admittance of the photographs that I've tendered to the witness.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3301 through 3307 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3301, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is row 12, seat 4.
3302,
This is impact 9-123.
3303.
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-124.
3304.
This is row 12, seat 5.
3305.
This is impact 9-125.
3306.
Impact 9-126.
And 3307.
So close-up photograph of impact 9-126.
If I could have you approach the model and note where row 12, seats 4 and 5 are located.
Okay, the row we were just marking on was row 11, so we'll move one row up. Starting from the left, moving to the right, just like reading a book, we'll move over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is seat 4. And then seat 5 will be one seat over to the right or to the south.
I'm next going to hand you what has been marked as People's Exhibits 3308, 3309, 3310, 3311, 3314, 3318, 3319, 3320, 3321, 3322, 3323, 3324, 3325, 3326, 3327, 3328, and 3329. Do you recognize all of those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admittance of all of the photographs that I've tendered to the witness.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
Note a 403 and due process objection to 3327.
Can I see those, please? The objection is overruled because I find that the probative value of the evidence is not substantially outweighed by any of the concerns listed in Rule 403 of the Colorado Rules of Evidence. So Exhibit P-TR-3327 is admitted over objection The rest of the exhibits are admitted without objection, and so that would be 3308, P-TR-3308 through 3311 inclusive, P-TR-3314, P-TR-3318 through 3326 inclusive, and P-TR-3328 and 3329. And they may all be published. Thank you.
Could I have 3308, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is row 12, seat 14.
3309,
Impact 9-127.
3310,
Impact 9-128.
3311,
Impact 9-129 and 9-130.
3314,
Okay, this is impact 9-131, 9-132, 9-133, and 9-134.
is that still row 12, seat 14?
Correct.
3318,
This is impact 9-133.
3319,
This is impact 9-134.
3320,
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-135.
3321,
This is an overall of the seat again, but showing impact 9-141.
is that seat 16?
Correct, yes, I'm sorry. It is row 12, seat 16.
3322,
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-136.
3323,
This is impact 9-137.
3324,
There are several impacts in this photograph to include impact 9-138, 9-139, 9-140, and 9-141.
3325,
This is impact 9-138 and 9-139.
3326,
This is impact 9-140 and 9-141.
3327,
This is the back of that seat.
3328,
This is impact 9-142.
and 3329.
This is impact 9-143.
And if you could now approach the model and mark where row 12, seats 14 and seat 16 are located.
Okay, back up to the row that I last marked, which is row 12. Seat 14 is going to be the 14th seat over from the left, so moving right. And then seat 16 will be located 2 seats over to the right or to the south of the seat that I just marked.
I am next going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3330, 3332, 3334, 3335, 3336, 3337, 3338, 3339, 3340, and 3341. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admittance of the photographs that I have tendered to the witness.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Okay, without objection, P-TR-3330, 3332, and 3334 through 3341 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3330, please? What is this a photograph of?
This is row 13, seat 3.
3332,
This is impact 9-144.
3334,
This is impact 9-145 and 9-146.
3335,
This is impact 9-145.
3336,
This is impact 9-146.
3337,
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-147.
3338,
So this is the next seat in the photographs, which is row 13, seat 9.
3339,
This is impact 9-148.
3340,
This is the back of row 13, seat 9.
3341,
It's a close-up photograph of impact 9-149.
and would you now move to the model and note where row 13, seats 3 and seats 9 are located in the theater?
Okay, starting first with the row. If we start with row 8, which is the first row in the stadium seating, and move up, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then seat 3 and seat 9. Seat 3 will be the third seat over to the right. And seat 9 will be the ninth seat over from the right.
I'm next going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3342, 3344, 3345, and 3346.
Thank you.
Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admittance of People's Exhibits 3342, 3344 through 346.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3342 and 3344 through 3346 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3342, please? What do we see depicted in this photograph?
This is row 13, seat 16.
3344,
This is impact 9-150.
3345,
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-151.
3346,
This is impact 9-151.
and if you could approach the model and note where row 13, seat 16 is located.
Okay, so coming back up to the row that we were just working in, seat 16 is going to be the 16th seat over from the right, moving left to right.
couldn't see that marker.
Okay. I have another marker up here. Would you prefer I come up and use that one? Okay. Sorry about that.
I'm next going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3347, 3348, 3349, 3350, 3351, 3352, 3353, 3354, 3355, 3356, and 3357. Do you recognize all of those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for admittance of the photographs that I have tendered to the witness.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3347 through 3357 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3347, please? What do we see depicted in this photograph?
This is row 14, seat 7.
3348,
This is impact 9-152.
3349,
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-153.
3350,
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-153.
3351,
This is the next seat over, which is row 14, seat 8.
3352,
This is impact 9-154.
3353,
This is a photograph showing impact 9-155 and 9-156.
3354,
This is impact 9-155.
3355,
This is impact 9-156.
3356,
This is the back of that seat showing impact 9-157.
and 3357,
This is impact 9-157.
And if you could approach the model and note row 14 where seats 7 and seats 8 are located.
Okay, so moving one row up from the previous row that we marked. Seat 7 is going to be the 7th seat over from the right. And then seat 8 will be right next to it, to the right.
I'm next going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3358, 3359, 3361, 3362, and 3363. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for admittance of the photographs I've tendered to the witness.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3358, 3359, and 3361 through 3363 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3358, please? What are we looking at here?
This is row 14, seat 11.
3359,
This is impact 9-158 and 9-159.
3361,
This is seat 14 in row 14. So I'm sorry, row 14, seat 14.
3362,
This is impact 9-160.
3363,
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-161.
and if you could approach the model and note where in row 14, seats 11 and seats 14 are located.
So working in the row that we just marked on the model, or that I just marked on the model, seat 11 will be the 11th seat over from left to right. And then seat 14 will be the 14th seat over to the right.
I'm next going to hand you what's been marked as People's Exhibits 3364, 3365, and 3366. Do you recognize those?
Yes.
And I would move for the admittance of those photographs.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3364 through 3366 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3364, please? And what are we looking at?
This is row 14, seat 16.
3365,
This is impact 9-162.
3366,
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-163.
and could you note where row 14, seat 16 is in the theater?
Okay, row 14 being the row that we're working on. Seat 16 will be 2 seats over to the right from the last seat marked on the model.
Maybe to get it more flat on the... Okay, try the other one. I am next going to hand you another group of photographs. I'm next going to hand you what have been marked as People's Exhibits 3367, 3368, 3369, 3370, 3371, 3372, 3373, 3374, and 3375. Do you recognize all of those photographs?
Yes.
And I would move for admittance of the photographs that I have tendered to the witness.
Is there any objection?
Into 3374 under 403 in due process, otherwise no objection.
Thank you. All right, the objection is overruled because the probative value of the evidence is not substantially outweighed by any of the concerns listed in Rule 403. So Exhibit P-TR-3374 is admitted over objection. The rest of the exhibits, P-TR-3367 through 3373, as well as P-TR-3375, are admitted without objection, and all of them may be published. Thank you.
Could I have 3367, please? What seat are we looking at here?
This is row 15, seat 6.
3368,
This is impact 9-164.
3369,
This is impact 9-165 and 9-166.
3370,
It's a close-up photograph of impact 9-165.
3371,
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-166.
3372,
This is the back of that seat in row 15, seat 6.
3373,
This is impact 9-167.
3374,
This is row 15, seat 10.
3375,
This is a close-up of impact 9-168.
and again, if you could approach the model and note where row 15, seat 6, and seat 10 are. And I have another one here. Need to fix the one that we did previously.
So we're now at row 15. Seat 6 will be the 6th seat over, left or right. And seat 10 will be also in that row and the 10th seat over from left to right.
Next, going to hand you what has been marked as People's Exhibits 3376, 3377, 3378, 3379, 3380, and 3381. Do you recognize all of those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admittance of the photographs I've tendered to the witness.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3376 through 3381 are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3376, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is row 15, seat 14, with impact 9-169.
3377,
This is impact 9-169.
3378,
This is row 15, seat 16.
3379,
This is impact 9-170.
3380,
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-171.
3381.
This is impact 9-171.
And if you could approach the model and note where row 15, seats 14 and seat 16 are located.
Okay, so the row we were just in, row 15, we had just marked seat 10, so seat 14 is going to be 4 seats over to the right. And then seat 16 will be 2 seats over from seat 14.
I'm next going to hand you what has been marked as People's Exhibits 3382, 3383, 3384, 3385, 3386, 3387, and 3388. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admittance of all the photographs I have tendered to the witness.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3382 through 3388 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3382, please? What seat do we see in this photograph?
This is row 19, seat 9.
3383,
This is impact 9-172.
3384,
This is impact 9-173 and 9-174.
3385,
This is a close-up of impact 9-173.
3386,
A close-up photograph of impact 9-174.
3387,
This is the back of that seat with impact 9-175.
3388,
And a close-up of that impact 9-175.
and if you could approach the model and note where row 19, seat 9 is located.
Okay, coming back here to the stadium seating. Again, row 8 was the first, so we're going to move up to row 19. Which is the second to last row. And then seat 9 is going to be the 9th seat located to the right. You're welcome.
I am next going to hand you what has been marked as People's Exhibits 3389, 3390, and 3391. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move for the admittance of the photographs that I've tendered to the witness.
Is there any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3389 through 3391 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3389, please? What seat are we looking at here?
This is row 18, seat 11, so one row below the seat on the model that we were just working with.
3390,
This is impact 9-176.
3391,
This is impact 9-177.
and could you now note on the model where row 18, seat 11 is located?
Okay, so the last row that I marked was row 19, so we're going to move one row down to row 18. And seat 11 will be the 11th seat over to the right.
Now, did you, in addition to noting impacts on seat, also note impacts that were located in walls or other structures within Theater 9?
Yes.
And at a later time, after you noted some of the impacts on the walls, did you again note additional impacts that were located in seats?
Yes.
Okay, turning next to some impacts that you found that were located within walls in the theater. I'm going to hand you what has been marked as 3392, 3392, 3393, 3394, 3395, 3396, 3544, 3545, 3547, 3546, 3548, 3549, Do you recognize all of these photographs?
Yes.
And do they fairly and accurately represent what you observed in the theater in July of 2012?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admittance of the photographs I've tendered to the witness.
Is there any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3392 through 3396 are admitted, and that's inclusive. And P-TR-3544 through 3548 inclusive are admitted and may be published as well.
Could I have 3392 first, please? Now, could you explain to us what we're looking at in the theater, and is this Theater 9?
Yes, this is Theater 9, and we're looking at the west wall. So as one looks at the screen, this would be the wall located to the back.
3393? What do we see in this photograph?
This is impact 9-178, which was located in the railing on that west wall.
3394?
This is a close-up of impact 9-178.
And that's still on the west or the back wall of Theater 9?
Correct.
3395?
Okay, this is a photograph as one looks at the screen of the left staircase.
So would the wall that we see then on the right of the photograph be the wall that connects to Theater 9?
Correct, that would be the north wall.
And in that photograph, we see a little white thing noted on the green railing.
Yes.
And if we next look at 3396, is that the area that we were looking at in 3395 where we could see the white piece on the railing?
Yes.
Could I have 3544, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
Okay, this is again that left staircase as one looks at the screen, and this is going to be the right side of that staircase, so the south side with several impacts.
And the one that we're seeing again on the railing, is this the same 19179 that we saw previously?
Correct, it's 9-179.
3340 or 3545, please. What do we see in this photograph?
This is again the left staircase, so the photograph that we just saw, this is a close-up of the impacts in that staircase to include impact 9-180, 9-181, and 9-182.
Could I have 3547, please? What do we see in this photograph?
This is impact 9-180.
3546, please.
This is impact 9-181.
And 3548.
And this is impact 9-182.
I am next going to hand you what has been marked as People's Exhibits 3400, 3398, 3401, 3399, 3402, 3397, 3403, 3404, 3405, 3409, 3406, 3407, 3408, 3414, 3415, and 3417.
Thank you.
Do you recognize all of these photographs?
Yes.
And do they fairly and accurately depict what you observed in the theater in July of 2012?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admittance of the photographs I've tendered to the witness.
Ms. Spengler, any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3397 through 3409 inclusive are admitted and may be published. Similarly, P-TR-3414, 3415, and 3417 are admitted and may be published. And again, that's without objection.
Could I have People's Exhibit 3400, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
Okay, so the staircase that we were just looking at, which is the left staircase as you look at the screen, we were just on the south or the right side, the side that faces the seats. This would be the other side of that staircase, so the left or the north side that faces the hallway.
Could you go down to the model and note where this would be located and where the prior ones that we were looking at were located?
Okay, so the staircase that I'm referring to here.
This is actually, the wall is gone now, but this would divide Theater 8. So this is Theater 8 and the wall would be right here.
Okay, so this staircase here is the staircase that we're talking about, which is the left staircase. The area that I was previously talking about was on the south side or the right side. So that's where those impacts were. The impacts that we're looking at now would be on the left side or the north side facing that hallway.
So looking at 3400 again. Is this then the opposite side of the wall that the previous impacts were located on?
Yes.
Could I have 3398, please? What do we see in this photograph?
This is impact 9-83, which was located at the top of the railing on that side of the staircase.
And 3401, please. What do we see in this photograph?
This is an overall photograph with impacts 9-185 and 9-186.
And again, on the opposite side of this wall would be the stairs that go up into the stadium seating?
Correct.
3399.
So this is the same area that we just looked at with a close-up of the impacts to show impact 9-184, 9-185, and 9-186.
3402, please.
This is impact 9-184.
3397.
This is just an overall photograph of the area that we're talking about.
And to the right side of this photograph, would that be the wall that connects with Theater 8?
Correct. It would be the north wall that connects with Theater 8.
3403, please.
This is impact 9-185.
3404.
This is impact 9-186.
Could I have 3405, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
Okay, so this is the north wall of the theater. So as you look at the screen, it's the wall located to the left. It is also the wall that connects to Theater 8.
3409, please. What do we see in this photograph?
This is impact 9-189 and 9-190, which was located in that north wall.
And is this higher up on the wall?
Correct. The railing is higher.
3406. What do we see in this photograph?
These are also impacts on that north wall, impact 187 and impact 188.
3407, please.
This is a close-up photograph of impact 187.
3408.
And a photograph of impact 188.
3414, please.
Continuing also on that north wall, this is impact 9-191 and 9-192.
3415, please.
Photograph of impact 9-191.
And 3417.
And impact 9-192.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, I'm going to next going to hand you what has been marked as People's Exhibits 3462, 3463, 3464, 3465, 3466, 3467, 3468, 3470, 3471, 3472, 3473, and 3474.
Thank you.
Do you recognize all of those photographs?
Yes.
Do they fairly and accurately represent what you observed in the theater in July of 2012?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admittance of all the photographs that I've tendered to the witness.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3462 through 3468 inclusive are admitted and may be published. Similarly, without objection, P-TR-3470 through 3474 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3462, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is an overall photograph of the area that we were just talking about, which is that north wall in Theater 9.
The north wall being the wall that adjoins Theater 8.
Yes.
And perspective that we're looking at with the lobby, would that be the exit towards the lobby?
Yes.
Could I have 3463, please? What do we see in this photograph?
This is impact 9-193, which was located on that north wall.
3464.
Also on the north wall here, we have impact 9-194, 9-195, and 9-196, which was located in the curtain.
3465, please.
And this is a close-up of those three impacts.
So the curtain, this is above the lower part of the wall, above that railing.
Correct.
3466, please.
This is just another close-up photograph, again, of impact 194, impact 195, and impact 196.
Were there holes in the curtain that you could see?
Yes.
And then was it later determined that there were impacts behind the curtain?
Yes.
3467, please. What do we see in this photograph?
This is still the north wall, so the same area we've been discussing, and there's three impacts here, which is impact 9-189, impact 9-190, and then up in the curtain, there's impact 9-197.
3468, please.
This is a close-up photograph of that impact that was in the curtain, so impact 9-197.
3470, please.
So this area here, as you look at the screen, this is going to be the area that was located to the right. The black area that you're seeing is the east wall, or the wall that was located in back of the screen, because the screen was removed.
So under normal circumstances, the screen would be in the front of what we're seeing here?
Correct.
3471.
This is a close-up photograph of impact 9-198, which was in the curtain, which was next to the screen, to the south of the screen.
And is this, we saw a white spot in 3470, is this that white tag?
It is, yes.
3472, please.
Okay, so again, as you're looking at the screen, the wall that would be located in back of the screen, which was to the east, there's two impacts back there.
And that's behind where the screen would be.
Yes.
3473.
This is a close-up of one of those impacts on that east wall, which is impact 9-199.
3474.
This is, I'm sorry, this
What
is
are
a
we looking
close-up photograph of the other impact 9-200.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's Exhibits 3460 and 3461.
Thank you.
Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admittance of People's Exhibits 3460 and 3461.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3460 and 3461 are admitted and may be published.
Could I have 3460, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
Okay, so during the week when I was on scene, members of federal agencies and myself removed the screen from inside of Theater 9 and brought it out into a hallway so that we could observe it for additional holes. What you're looking at here is impact 9-201, which was a hole in the screen.
Could I have 3461, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is a close-up of that impact 9-201.
And in fact, the screen was perforated?
Correct.
Thank you. I'm next going to hand you what has been marked as People's Exhibits 3481, 3482, 3483, and 3484.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
Do you recognize these photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admittance of People's Exhibits 3481 through 3484.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, P-TR-3481 through 3484 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Now, as you were going through the theater and marking the impacts in the walls, did you also end up going back to seats periodically because additional impacts were noted in seats?
Yes.
Could I have 3481, please? What are we looking at in this photograph? What seat is this?
So this is an overall photograph of row 13, seat 4.
3482, please.
This is impact 9-202.
3483.
This is the same seat, the back of the seat with impact 9-203.
3484.
This is a close-up photograph of 9-203.
And if you could approach the model, I don't know if this is a seat we'd previously marked or not, and we have a bunch of new pens. And Your Honor, at the break, we have more pens. Would the court permit her at the break to darken up the circles with the pens that were running out?
That's fine.
Thank you. You could approach row 13, seat 4.
Okay, again, we'll start with row 8, which is the first row in the stadium seating. So row 13. And then it would be the fourth seat over from left to right.
Next, going to hand you what's been marked as People's Exhibits 3486, 3487, 3488, 3491, and 3493. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Do they fairly and accurately depict what you viewed in the theater in July of 2012?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admittance of People's Exhibits 3486, 3487, 3488, 3491, and 3493.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
Objection to 3486 under 403 in due process, otherwise no objection.
Thank you. The objection to P-TR 34, P-TR-3486 is overruled because I find that the probative value of the evidence is not substantially outweighed by any of the concerns listed in Rule 403. So that exhibit is admitted over objection and may be published. The other exhibits, P-TR-3487, 3488, 3491, and 3493 are admitted without objection and may be published. Thank you.
Could I have 3486, please? What do we see in this photograph?
Okay, so this area is in front of row 9, seat 15. It's marking an impact 9-204 on the floor.
3487?
This is a close-up of that impact 9-204.
3488?
Okay, this is row 11, seat 7.
3491?
And this is a close-up of that photograph with two new holes located, two impacts, which is impact 9-205 and 9-206.
So this seat had previously been marked with 9-84 and 9-85. How did this occur that it was looked at again for additional impacts?
Agent de France was going back on scene to double-check the seats that he had already marked and found these two additional holes.
Could I have 3493, please? What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is row 9, seat 18. This would be the back of the seat.
And where is the additional new impact?
The new impact would be impact 9-207, which is on the floor.
And I believe we already have marked row 11, seat 7, and row 9, seat 18.
Ms. Pearson, let's go ahead and take our morning break at this time, okay?
Okay.
All right, members of the jury, it's 10:15. We're going to go ahead and take our morning break. Please keep in mind all the advisements that I have been giving you throughout the trial. All of them apply. Enjoy the break, and I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. Thank you. The record should reflect that the jury has exited the courtroom. Everyone may be seated. Is there anything we need to talk about on behalf of the people, Ms. Pearson?
No, Your Honor.
Anything on behalf of the defense, Ms. Spengler?
No.
All right, enjoy the break. I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. Thank you.
All right.